All right. If the church is the family and God is our Father, how do we act as individuals within the family? And how do our actions as individuals impact the whole family?
Behave.
Well, I think this is a great question because we are the family of God. We are his children. And what we have to understand is that a family is made up of many members in different stages of life. And so this is kind of back to the whole not judging one another idea. But I think what we need to focus on is how do we be part of the family? How do we function in the family? Because sometimes people will attend a church a few times and leave because they say, well, nobody showed up, nobody was there, when I went through difficulty or whatever, and they never did assimilate into the family. We use the term show up. They didn't show up enough to really become part of the family and receive the benefits of being part of the family. And we often talk about the fact that, yeah, that's a great way. I mean, we get to know each other. Coming to church, being in Bible study, letting people see you, doing things with one another, we become known, and that's just common sense. We shouldn't expect that others notice us. Ted's mom used to say, don't think anybody's thinking about you as much as you are. I love that. But no, that's true of all of us. And
don't think about
if
that
we want the benefits of the family, we've got to be a part of the family. And the way we're a part of the family is we show up and people get to know us. And I'm fond of the fact that sometimes when people show up, all of us have our rough edges or our idiosyncrasies, or we're just odd, whatever. But you show up enough and you become part of the family. You become our odd person, or our person with various
I don't
quirks.
think you ought to talk about me anymore. Go ahead.
No, I think this is important because sometimes we think, well, we don't belong because, we're not like everybody else, but you keep showing up and you keep growing and honing yourself in God, and you will find that people care. People want to know how you're doing, and the body kicks in, and we each, function in the body. We each have our part in, and maybe we don't see it from our individual perspective, but over time, you start to see the functioning of the body, and it really is a beautiful thing to know that you belong somewhere and that people care about you. And I just want to point out, too, there are a couple verses in the New Testament, one's in Colossians and the other in Ephesians, that talk about being patient with one another, overlooking one another's faults. So being part of the body doesn't mean we're all perfect, that none of us have anything that we're working on in our lives. That's something that we deal with personally. That's our own personal responsibility. But in the body, we're patient with one another. And there again, we recognize that the same Holy Spirit that is at work within us is at work within the other members of the body. And so we encourage each other, and we're a strength to one another. And we can go through our stuff together without fear of being judged, but know that we belong here. And we're working through our stuff, and we're growing up together. And so I think, as far as our individual, how we act in the body, well, each of us is responsible for ourselves, our own actions. And we may have our flaws, but we're trying to grow through those, or we should be trying to grow up in God and let the Holy Spirit work with us. But as far as how we view one another, we're patient with the process.
Wow, very good.